The first time Eleanor Crown truly felt afraid, it was not because of robbers or storms. It was because she heard her husband whisper one sentence on the phone in the dark: "By next week, it will be done. She must not find out." Eleanor froze behind the half-open study door inside their glass mansion in Lagos. The whole house was quiet. Even the air conditioner sounded too loud. Her hand clutched the door frame so tightly her fingers hurt. Who was he talking about? Her mind screamed. She leaned closer, barely breathing. Her husband, Mr. Daniel Crown, stood with his back to the door. He wore a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His voice was low and serious, nothing like the warm voice he used with her during dinner. "Yes," he said again. "I will sign it. Just keep it ready. And no mistakes." Eleanor's heart beat so hard she felt it in her throat. "Sign what?" Daniel ended the call. He turned and walked out, not seeing her at all. Eleanor stayed in the shadow, shaking. For years, people in Lagos admired her. They called her Madam Eleanor, the woman with the gentle smile. She attended charity events, took photos with children, and waved like a queen. She lived in a shining mansion with tall glass walls that reflected the city lights. But tonight, the glass walls felt like they were closing in on her. Eleanor walked back to her bedroom slowly, like someone who had just heard bad news at a hospital. Daniel was already inside, washing his hands at the sink. "You're up late," he said casually, not looking at her. "I couldn't sleep," Eleanor replied. Daniel nodded. "Try again." That was all. No hug. No question. No comfort. Eleanor lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. In her mind, she saw the words again. By next week, it will be done. She must not find out. Her fear turned into a hot, sharp thought: he is leaving me. She tried to fight it. She tried to remember how Daniel used to look at her, how he used to bring her tea and ask about her day. But fear is like smoke. Once it enters, it spreads. Eleanor waited until Daniel fell asleep. Then she moved like a shadow. She picked up his phone from the bedside table. She knew his password. She had learned it months ago when she first started worrying. She told herself she was only trying to protect her marriage. She opened his messages. Nothing. She checked his calls. One number appeared again and again. The contact name was not saved. Just numbers. Eleanor wrote the number down on a small note. Next, she checked his email. There were many business emails, most of them hard to understand. But one subject line caught her eye. Final documents, ready for signature. Her stomach dropped. Final documents. Signature. She opened it. The email was filled with big words and attached files. Eleanor did not understand every line, but she saw one phrase clearly. Transfer of ownership. Ownership of what? Her hands began to sweat. Eleanor closed the email quickly, like it was burning her fingers. She put the phone back exactly where it was. Then she sat at the edge of the bed and stared at the dark room. In her head, a scary story began to form all by itself. Maybe Daniel was planning to leave her. Maybe he was planning to take his money away. Maybe he was planning to give it to someone else. She imagined a woman, beautiful, smiling, waiting. A woman Daniel trusted. A woman who would replace her. Eleanor's chest felt tight, like a rope was squeezing her. No, she whispered to herself. Not after everything. The next morning, Eleanor acted normal. She smiled at Daniel during breakfast. She asked if he wanted more tea. She listened when he talked about traffic and meetings. But inside, she was not calm. She watched him like a hawk watches the ground. When Daniel walked out to his car, Eleanor followed behind the curtain. She saw his driver open the door for him. She saw Daniel speak to someone briefly by the gate, a man in a neat suit holding a brown file. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. Was that the document? She waited until Daniel's car disappeared down the street. Then she did something she had never done before. She called Daniel's assistant, Miss Tola, who worked in Daniel's office at a tall building on Victoria Island. "Good morning, Miss Tola," Eleanor said sweetly. "Good morning, Ma," Tola replied politely. Eleanor took a breath. "I need a small favor." Daniel has been busy, and I want to help him. Can you tell me what meetings he has today? There was a pause. Ma, I don't usually share. Please, Eleanor cut in gently, but her voice carried pressure like a hidden blade. I am his wife. I am only trying to support him. Tola hesitated, then spoke softly. He has a closed-door meeting at 2 p.m. with Mr. Kashim and some investors. Investors? Eleanor's fingers tightened around the phone. And what is the meeting about? Eleanor asked. Ma, I really shouldn't. Eleanor's voice became colder. Tola, I said I am trying to help him. Another pause. Then Tola whispered, it's about a new deal. Something big. A company transfer. Company transfer. Eleanor felt her stomach twist again. After the call, Eleanor stood in her living room and stared at the glass walls. Outside, Lagos moved like always, cars, horns, people rushing. No one knew what was happening inside her mind. Fear began to change into something else. Control. If Daniel was planning something that could ruin her life, then she had to act first. Eleanor walked to the small home office inside the mansion. It was a room she rarely used. She opened a drawer and pulled out something she had kept secretly for months. A spare key card to Daniel's office building. She had taken it just in case. She never told herself what the case was. But now, she believed she knew. At exactly 1:30 p.m., Eleanor put on dark sunglasses and a simple dress. She did not wear her usual jewelry. She wanted to be unnoticed. She drove to Victoria Island in a quiet car, keeping her face calm while her heart raced. When she reached the tall building, she walked in like she belonged there. Because she did. She was Mrs. Crown. The guards greeted her. Good afternoon, Ma. Eleanor nodded and entered the lift. As the lift rose, Eleanor's hands trembled. She tried to stop them, but they would not stop. She felt fear, yes, but also a strange excitement. If she could see the documents before Daniel signed them, she could stop whatever he was planning. The lift doors opened on Daniel's floor. Eleanor walked down the hallway, passing employees who bowed slightly or greeted her politely. She reached Daniel's office door. It was locked. Eleanor took out the key card. Her breath caught. She swiped it. The door clicked open. Eleanor stepped inside. The room smelled like clean leather and expensive perfume. Daniel's desk was tidy. His computer was on sleep mode. A large brown envelope sat on the corner of the desk, stamped with a red seal. Eleanor's eyes locked on it. This must be it, she whispered. She moved toward the envelope. Her fingers touched the seal. And then, behind her, a voice spoke. Madam, what are you doing in here? Eleanor spun around so fast her sunglasses fell slightly down her nose. It was Mr. Kashim, a powerful man Daniel worked with. He stood in the doorway, staring at her like he had just caught her stealing. Eleanor's mouth went dry. Her mind screamed, run. But her body stayed frozen. Mr. Kashim stepped into the room slowly, his eyes hard. Madam Crown, he said again, sharper now. Why are you touching those documents? Eleanor opened her mouth to answer. But no words came. And outside the glass building, Lagos kept moving, unaware that in one small office, Eleanor Crown's perfect life had just taken its first loud crack. Eleanor's heart felt like it stopped beating. Mr. Kashim stood between her and the door. He was tall, broad, and serious, with eyes that looked like they missed nothing. The brown envelope was still under Eleanor's hand. The red seal stared at her like an open eye. I was looking for my husband, Eleanor said at last. Her voice sounded thin, even to her own ears. He told me to wait here. Mr. Kashim did not move. Daniel Crown is not in the building, he replied calmly. And these documents are private. Eleanor slowly pulled her hand away from the envelope. I am his wife, she said, lifting her chin. There should be no secrets between us. Mr. Kashim's lips tightened. In business, madam, secrets are common. The silence stretched. Eleanor felt sweat form under her arms. She could hear her own breathing. She wondered if Mr. Kashim could hear it too. Then footsteps echoed in the hallway. Voices. The meeting was about to begin. Mr. Kashim glanced at his watch. "You should leave," he said. "Now." Eleanor hesitated. If she walked out, she might never see those papers again. But if she stayed, she would look guilty. She turned and walked past him without another word. As the door closed behind her, Eleanor's legs felt weak. She did not stop until she reached the lift. When the doors shut, she leaned against the wall, pressing her palm to her chest. What was she doing? This was not her. She was careful. She was admired. She was in control. Yet she could not forget Mr. Kashim's eyes, or the envelope. Back at the mansion, Eleanor tried to calm herself. She drank water. She changed clothes. She told herself she had imagined everything. But fear is stubborn. That night, Daniel came home late. "Long meeting," he said, loosening his tie. Eleanor watched him closely. "How did it go?" "Fine," Daniel replied. "Just work." He did not look at her. Eleanor smiled, but inside her thoughts raced. He is hiding something. After dinner, Daniel went to shower. Eleanor moved quickly. She opened his briefcase. Inside, she found nothing except a notebook and a pen. Then she saw it. A business card slipped into a side pocket. It belonged to a woman. Name, Ms. Anita Blake. Company, Crown Holdings Legal Division. Legal Division. Eleanor's chest burned. She searched the card online. The woman was young, smart, beautiful. Her photo showed a confident smile. Eleanor closed the laptop hard. So this is her, Eleanor thought. This is the one he trusts. That night, Eleanor did not sleep. By morning, fear had turned into a sharp decision. If Daniel would not tell her the truth, she would find it herself. She called someone she had not spoken to in years. A man named Victor, a quiet fixer who once helped her solve a small problem before she married Daniel. "Madam Eleanor," Victor said on the phone. "It has been a long time." "I need information," Eleanor said. "Quiet information." "About who?" "My husband's business," she replied. "And anyone close to him." There was a pause. "This can be dangerous," Victor warned. Eleanor stared out through the glass wall at the city below. "So is ignorance." Victor agreed. Within days, Victor sent her reports. Emails. Notes. Eleanor read everything. Daniel was not planning to leave her. He was planning something else. A silent transfer of control inside his company, to protect assets from a coming investigation Eleanor had never known about. But Eleanor did not fully understand this. What she saw was danger. She saw deals being moved without her name. She saw meetings she was not invited to. She saw Anita Blake's name again and again. Eleanor's fear exploded. "He is cutting me out," she whispered. Instead of asking Daniel, Eleanor acted. She used her access as Daniel's wife to delay signatures. She made quiet calls to banks. She questioned partners politely, but sharply. People noticed. A deal failed. An investor pulled back. A meeting was cancelled. Daniel came home angry one evening. "Did you speak to Mr. Lady?" he asked. Eleanor blinked. "Only briefly." "You had no right," Daniel said. His voice was hard now. "You interfered." "I was protecting us," Eleanor snapped. "Protecting you." Daniel stared at her, shocked. "From what?" Eleanor opened her mouth, but stopped. She could not explain her fear without exposing herself. Daniel shook his head and walked away. That night, Eleanor cried alone. But she did not stop. She went further. She leaked false information about a partner she suspected was helping Daniel. She blocked a transfer she did not understand. She made enemies without knowing their names. Then the questions began. A reporter called. Then a banker. Then a lawyer Eleanor had never met. Finally, one evening, the doorbell rang. Eleanor looked through the glass wall and saw two men standing outside. They wore plain clothes. One held a badge. "Mrs. Eleanor Crown," the man called. "We need to ask you some questions." Eleanor's heart dropped into her stomach. Behind her, Daniel stepped into the room. "What is this?" he demanded. The officer looked past Eleanor and met Daniel's eyes. "Sir," he said calmly, "this concerns your wife." Eleanor felt the world tilt. As the men stepped inside the glass mansion, Eleanor realized something terrifying. Her obsession had crossed a line. And whatever was coming next, she might not be able to stop it. The living room felt smaller the moment the officers stepped inside. Eleanor stood frozen near the glass wall, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. Daniel moved closer to her, his face stiff with confusion and anger. The two men stood calmly, but their calm was frightening. "Mrs. Eleanor Crown," the taller officer said, opening a small notebook. "My name is Inspector Adewale. This is my partner, Officer Musa." "What is this about?" Daniel asked sharply. "Why are you in my house?" Inspector Adewale nodded politely. "Sir, we are investigating some recent financial disruptions linked to Crown Holdings. Certain actions point back to accounts and instructions connected to your wife." Eleanor's ears rang. "Disruptions?" Daniel repeated slowly. "What disruptions?" Inspector Adewale looked back at Eleanor. "Delayed transfers. Blocked approvals. Information sent to parties who should not have received it." Daniel turned to her. "Eleanor, what is he talking about?" Eleanor's mouth felt dry. Her thoughts ran into each other. If she told the truth, she would sound foolish. If she lied, she could make it worse. "I was trying to help," she said softly. "Help who?" Daniel demanded. Inspector Adewale raised a hand. "Sir, we are not here to argue. We only need answers." He turned to Eleanor again. "Mrs. Crown, did you contact any business partners without your husband's knowledge?" Eleanor hesitated. That pause was enough. "Yes," she whispered. Daniel stepped back like she had struck him. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you do that?" Eleanor looked at him, really looked at him, and suddenly felt afraid of losing more than his love. She felt afraid of losing the truth. "I heard you," she said, her voice shaking. "That night. On the phone. You said everything would be done. You said I must not find out." Daniel's eyes widened. "That," he said. "That call." Inspector Adewale watched carefully. Daniel rubbed his forehead. "Eleanor, that was about an internal investigation. I was trying to protect the company, and you. By hiding things from me?" Eleanor cried. "By signing documents behind my back?" "You were never in danger," Daniel said. "Until now." Silence fell like a heavy cloth. Inspector Adewale closed his notebook slowly. "Mrs. Crown, your actions may have interfered with an active financial inquiry. That makes this serious." Eleanor's legs felt weak. "Am I under arrest?" "Not yet," the inspector replied. "But we will need you to come in for questioning tomorrow." Tomorrow. The word echoed in Eleanor's mind. After the officers left, the house felt empty, even though both Eleanor and Daniel were still standing there. Daniel did not shout. That scared her more. "Why didn't you ask me?" he said quietly. Eleanor swallowed. "I was scared." "Scared of what?" "Of losing you," she said honestly. Daniel looked at her for a long time. Then he picked up his briefcase. "I need space," he said. "And you need a lawyer." He walked out. The glass door closed behind him with a soft click that sounded louder than a bang. That night, Eleanor sat alone in the dark. The city lights reflected on the glass walls, making it look like she was trapped inside a box of fireflies. Her phone buzzed. A message from Victor. "You are being watched now. Be careful." Eleanor's breath caught. Watched by who? The next day, she dressed carefully. Simple clothes. No jewelry. She wanted to look harmless. At the police station, the questions came fast. Who did you call? Why did you delay the transfer? Why did you send that email? Eleanor answered as best as she could, but fear made her words tangle. Then Inspector Adewale placed a printed document on the table. "This email," he said. "Did you send it?" Eleanor stared. She had never seen it before. The email ordered the freezing of a major account. It carried her name, but the wording was strange. Harsh. Careless. "No," she said quickly. "I did not send this." Inspector Adewale studied her face. "Then someone sent it using your access," he said. Eleanor felt cold. Someone was using her. As she left the station hours later, reporters waited outside. "Mrs. Crown, is it true you interfered with your husband's business? Are you under investigation?" Flashes blinded her. Voices shouted. Eleanor pushed through, her head down. Back home, she found the mansion gates open. Inside, drawers were disturbed. Papers were missing. Her heart pounded. Victor's warning echoed in her mind. She rushed to her office drawer, the one where she kept the spare key card. It was gone. Her phone rang. An unknown number. Her fingers trembled as she answered. "Mrs. Crown," a calm voice said. "You should have stayed out of things that were not yours." "Who is this?" Eleanor whispered. "You wanted control," the voice continued. "Now you have attention." The call ended. Eleanor sank onto the floor. She finally understood. This was no longer about her marriage. She had stepped into something much darker. And whoever was really behind the deals was not finished with her yet. Eleanor did not sleep that night. Every small sound in the glass mansion made her jump. The hum of electricity. The soft click of cooling glass. The distant sound of traffic from the road below. She felt exposed, like someone had removed the walls and left her standing in the open. At dawn, she heard a car pull into the driveway. Her heart leaped. Daniel. She rushed to the door, hope and fear fighting inside her chest. But when the door opened, it was not Daniel. It was a woman in a dark suit. "Mrs. Eleanor Crown?" the woman asked calmly. "Yes," Eleanor replied, her voice weak. "I am Barrister Nkem Okoye," the woman said, holding up an ID. "Your husband asked me to represent you." Eleanor felt both relief and shame. They sat at the long dining table. Eleanor told her everything. The phone call, the fear, Victor, the delays, the strange email, the missing keycard. Barrister Okoye listened without interrupting. When Eleanor finished, the lawyer folded her hands. "Mrs. Crown, someone is building a case around you." Eleanor's throat tightened. "A case for what?" "For fraud," the lawyer said gently. "And possibly obstruction." Eleanor's vision blurred. "But I didn't do those things." "That may be true," the lawyer replied. "But right now, the evidence says otherwise." Eleanor shook her head. "Someone used my access. Someone wanted this." "Yes," Barrister Okoye agreed. "And they are careful." Before Eleanor could speak again, her phone rang. "Daniel." She answered immediately. "Daniel." "Don't say anything," Daniel said sharply. "Are you alone?" "My lawyer is here." "Good," Daniel said. His voice sounded tired. "Listen to her. And Eleanor, there are things you still don't know." Her heart pounded. "Like what?" "I can't say on the phone," Daniel replied. "Just know this, what's happening is bigger than us." The call ended. Eleanor stared at the phone. Bigger than us. Later that afternoon, Barrister Okoye left, promising to return the next day. Eleanor locked every door and sat alone in the living room. She felt like time was closing in on her. Then she remembered Victor. She dialed his number again and again. No answer. Finally, a message arrived. "Do not contact me again. You are in danger." Eleanor's hands shook. If Victor was afraid, then who was powerful enough to scare him? As evening fell, Eleanor noticed something strange. A black car was parked across the street. It did not move. Its windows were dark. She watched it for a long time. Then another car joined it. Eleanor stepped back from the glass wall. She felt hunted. Her phone buzzed again. An email. Subject, You made the wrong choice. Her breath caught. She opened it. Inside was a single photo. It showed her, standing in Daniel's office, her hand on the brown envelope. The angle was perfect. Clear. Damning. Attached beneath the photo was a short message. Tomorrow, the police will receive more. Eleanor dropped the phone. No, she whispered. Please. She rushed to call Daniel. No answer. She called her lawyer. Voicemail. Panic surged. Eleanor began to pace. Her thoughts crashed into each other. She wanted to run, but where could she go? She wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Then the doorbell rang. Eleanor froze. She looked at the security screen. 2 men stood outside. Not police. Their faces were blank. One of them raised his hand and pressed the bell again. Eleanor's heart felt like it would burst. She backed away slowly. Her phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. Open the door, Mrs. Crown. We need to talk. The bell rang again, longer this time. Eleanor looked around the glass mansion, at the life she had tried so hard to protect. Her obsession had brought strangers to her door. Her fear had turned her into a target. She took a shaking step toward the door. Then another. Just as her hand reached the handle, a loud knock echoed through the house. And behind her, the glass wall reflected something that made her blood turn cold. Someone was already inside. Eleanor turned slowly. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass wall. Wide eyes, pale face, shaking hands. But behind the reflection, she saw it. A shadow. Someone stood inside the mansion. Her breath stopped. The shadow moved. Who's there? Eleanor whispered, though she already knew asking was useless. The lights flickered once, then stayed on. A man stepped forward from the hallway leading to the study. He was calm, neatly dressed, and smiling in a way that did not reach his eyes. You should have stayed curious, he said softly. Not involved. Eleanor backed away until her shoulders touched the glass wall. How did you get in? The man glanced toward the front door. You gave us access a long time ago, Mrs. Crown. You just didn't know it. Her heart pounded. What do you want? To clean up, he replied. You've made things noisy. The doorbell rang again. The 2 men outside were still waiting. The man inside looked amused. They work for me too. Eleanor's knees felt weak. I didn't do anything wrong. You did exactly what we needed, he said. You panicked. You interfered. You left fingerprints everywhere. Eleanor shook her head. You used me. Yes, he said simply. And now the story is already written. He stepped closer. Tomorrow, more documents will surface. Emails. Transfers. Orders. All connected to you. Eleanor's voice broke. Why? Because your husband was trying to protect the company from us, the man said. And you helped us stop him. Her chest tightened painfully. Daniel, is he safe? The man did not answer right away. That silence was worse than any words. The doorbell stopped ringing. Instead, there was a knock. Firm. Official. Police knock. The man inside smiled wider. Time's up. Eleanor's phone vibrated in her hand. A message from Daniel. I know who did this. Stay calm. Do not open any door. Eleanor looked up at the man standing only steps away from her. He tilted his head. You should decide quickly, Mrs. Crown. The knock came again, louder. Police. Open the door. Eleanor stood between 2 choices, both terrifying. If she opened the door, she would be arrested for crimes she did not fully understand. If she didn't know what the man inside would do next. Her eyes filled with tears. All she had wanted was to protect her marriage. Now her marriage, her freedom, and possibly her life were hanging in the balance. The man took 1 step closer. The knocking grew louder. Eleanor reached for the door handle. And at the same time, her phone rang again. This time, it was a video call. From Daniel. Eleanor's hand trembled between the door handle and the phone. The man's smile faded. Choose carefully. The police shouted again. Open the door now. Eleanor closed her eyes. Then she made a choice. But before the door opened, before the call connected, the power went out. The mansion fell into complete darkness. And Eleanor screamed. Thank you for staying with this story until the end. If this chapter made you feel curious, worried, or eager to know what happens next, then the story is only just beginning. More secrets are waiting to be revealed, and the next chapter will change everything. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss the next part. Your support helps bring more exciting stories like this to life. See you in the next part.